It is the eve of the 15th of July. Some rebel soldiers are out desperately trying to track down President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The aim is to capture or possibly kill him. So how do the events unfold? Well, few know it as well as Berat Albayrak, the Minister for Energy and Natural Resources. You're watching TRT World, and this is One on One. Berat Albayrak, thank you very much indeed for talking to TRT World. Now, you were with the President on that very fateful evening when there was potentially this attempt to assassinate the President. How did it unfold? What was going through your mind?
I mean, the thing is, it was just interesting evening since it started. But before that, we were just together with the family, the kids as well. Then we had a phone call with one of our family members telling us that in Bayerbi there are some incidents going on with army and police. They're asking something to the people, civilians whatsoever. When we had this phone call, that was not sufficient enough to move on about it. But following this call, there are a couple of other calls coming through, not only Istanbul, but also Ankara as well. So after minutes going on, we just understand that there are some things going on. Since then, with the President, I myself moved from the table and we moved to another room, start to talk with the related political figures, firstly with Prime Minister and also some other ministers and other officials as well. Some of them we reach, some of them we don't. But the thing is, every single minute passed, we understand that there is something serious over. And 10, 15, 20 minutes later, we understood that there is a serious situation over there. And then we started to coordinate. The President started to coordinate what's going on and what could be next and what strategic moves we need to do. Then, from that moment, after we started to organize the related people, the President decided to make a speech through media to the public. And then we quit from the hotel, and then there are those press people, including TRT and another agency, plus other regional press people. He made his speech and then finished. He got into the hotel. And then at that moment, I had just received a phone call that it was not there and nobody. So then we understood that. At that moment, the coup people, unfortunately, just get control of TRT and AA. And then we understood that we need to find another way to reach to people, public. And then at this famous FaceTime call, starting with those TV channels, A News, CNN Turk, NTV, and those others, saying that this is not a democratic move and there's this coup attempt, and then asking for those people all around the country to move on to the streets. Through that moment, at the same time, we tried to reach some high-rank officials in army, generals whatsoever, but most of the top level arrested at that time and we couldn't reach over there. Then two specific important cities, not only Ankara but also Istanbul was very important, and at that moment we are in contact with not only with the governor but also the highest ranked official of the police department. And at the same time, the coup guys in Istanbul couldn't have a chance to arrest the first field army, Hamid Pasha. We reached him with the governor and then telling him that, announce the official speech of the Turkish armed forces saying that this is not the official move of Turkish army. This is a small group, whatsoever. And then the media know what happened after his announcement, because he was at that time the highest official rank general at the moment. So within this moment, after those speeches, trying to understand, digest, and evaluate what's going to happen next through this, the president evaluated any specific options to move, even staying over there or flying some other place, spot, whatsoever. We created a couple of alternatives from there with heli to 4 options. Cities like Aydın, one of them, Bodrum, and Dalaman, and finally Izmir. We landed 4 jets over each of it, and then did not announce any specific where we are going to go. After he decided that we're going to move from hotel to another spot, we just take the heli and saying till the last minute which place we're flying with heli. And then we decided to move Dalaman at the last minute. And then from there to, after we flight over there with the jet, we didn't again announce which city where we are going to go. Istanbul is one of the options. Out of these 2 ports, we didn't decide which one also. This could be also Ankara in the basket as well. So at the last minute, we have decided Atatürk Airport, but when we are on air with the phone in the airplane, we continue to lead and manage the situation on the ground, the field, and on the capital as well. And at the last minute, after we landed Istanbul Atatürk, we moved to President to a more secure place in the airport, and then the story goes on.
Now, when we look at some of the statements that are coming from some Western countries, and at the same time people are highlighting that the very time when the president was trying to, when the president was in the air, there was this think tank, which is believed to be very close to one of the allies of Turkey. They were actually giving out the route of the president and potentially putting his life in danger. And that's, of course, giving rise to many theories in Turkey and in the Muslim world. How do you view that?
Those things, those institutions or those specific people says this and that. I think this is not an important point over here. The more important over here, specifically for this single situation, specific attempt, the people on the streets, and I'm talking about not a majority, this and that, this party or this belief, this sectarian whatsoever. Out of almost 100% of the people all around Turkey, which is around 79 million, starting from the first minute to the last minute, and not only the people, all the institutions, all the media channels, all initiatives in Turkey saw the picture at the same point of view till the last minute. The thing is, we are very much get used to how similar things, I think this is not a similar thing, but some kind of similar situations, because coup doesn't happen so much recently, or, anyhow, those things happens, and the perception of some ally countries or some strategic partner countries, or not only from those countries, but also those institutions under these countries could say this and that. But more important than this, the state-wise bilateral relationship and created trust, especially when we are talking about strategic friendship and partnership for decades. And we are talking about more than 60 years of NATO and EU candidacy and strategic ally with the US and Western relationship whatsoever, Turkey and that. There are those times, ups and downs, and those relationships would happen all the time. But after this incident, we are in a different position, because this thing is very much different than those happened in the history. Because we are in the point of view that this is not a problem of a any single government, prime minister, president, or any political figure than the whole country itself, whole public people on the streets as well. Every single person in Turkey believes who is behind it, who attempted this coup, who is responsible. So, since from the first minute until now, the Turkish people all around this country started to observe who is doing what and what reactions they're doing against this incident. This is a test of democracy, human rights, freedom against this bloody attempt, which is very much crucial for Turkish people.
You've been trying to diversify the energy policy of Turkey. What are the major obstacles, challenges, and your priorities at this point in time?
Turkey is one of the biggest energy consumers in this region, and very much unfortunate because of the lack of energy sources, especially oil and gas, where we are almost like more than 95% of our oil and gas we are importing. The thing is, within this picture, as a country, not saying that has a huge potential of growth, but currently a big economy. So both sides, when we add into it together, Turkey is one of the biggest markets in case of energy. Not only with that, when we are talking about the energy sources and energy markets, this is a region where more than 60% of our global oil and gas reserves in here. Like we're talking about Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Russia, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait. So all those countries consisting of more than 60% of the whole global oil and gas. So here are the sources. Just in the middle over there, Turkey and Europe. This is the market. So energy needs, sustainability, security, energy supply and security, all these kind of issues. So all these elements is crucial for not only diversification, but also all additional needs of energy usage, energy pricing, energy consistency. So within all these elements on the table, what's going on in the region is very much important. Not only every specific single country, what's going on, plus any additional resources, what type of moves, what type of partnerships, what type of cooperations that you could create within the additional support of the regional peace, regional partnerships, and regional win-win pictures for the benefit of all parties is very much important for Turkey. So, all additional resources explored, not only Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran's going on, additional, northern Iraq and Israel as well. So the whole picture over there, within a need of searching for a reliable market, Turkey is just a very much important country. We as a Turkey, facing different obstacles in different aspects for many years, not only growing the market potential, not only increasing the global share of Turkey's economical share. All of it is very much important for us. So every single player, including Russia you mentioned, is very much important for us because Russia is one of our biggest energy partners. So all the other additional players is very much important. Not talking with this specific incident and for so long after this. We will continue this reliable, rational pragmatic and rational partnership and negotiation will continue within this way.
We find that some of the statements from some countries that are allies of Turkey, and also the sort of selective outrage, and also what some people consider as dual standards, it seems that they're adding to the polarization in Turkey, in the Muslim world. What steps should Turkey take, and what steps would Turkey like the Western world to take to have cordial relations and to basically avoid any sort of conflicts?
The thing is, there is a simple answer on this. The difference between look and see is crucial, I think. I think it's time to not to look rather than see the picture, not in Turkey, but also Middle East. This is very much important for the global security, global terrorism threat, global economical driving forces, and all this power shift, wealth shift, and a couple of other specific issues going on. Turkey is in the same direction, comparing to 10 years ago. In fact, more democratic, more stable, more reliable point of view, including what's going on in the region and what type of additional benefits that Turkey could provide to the global picture. And I gave that specific example in different programs or different places all the time, which is there is a crucial need of understanding what's going on in the world and this region as well, which is talking very much on flies than the swamp. My personal point of view, what we are facing right now is a swamp issue rather than a fly issue. Everybody's talking about this flies, this and that. But what is much important over here, we need to dry that swamp. Talking about a country, naming Iraq, more than 20 countries, troops on the field. And talking about Syria, which we are saying that every single day there's this new specific terrorist organization with understanding we are getting out of letters in the alphabet, and all this unstable and unsecure picture feeding this extremism, feeding this unsecure picture, and feeding this hatred among those people all around the world, which is ending up every single day, not in Turkey, not in this region, including all Europe, everywhere, United States, all around the picture. There's this terrorist organization, that terrorist organization, this terrorist attack, that terrorist attack, which is driving to the whole world in a very much unsecure direction. What we need to do is, we need to be sincere, and to those people who are very much responsible in the politics, in a very much rational point of view, which they do need to take responsible steps, not only for their countries, those people living over there, but also the whole global picture. This is the main and very much crucial picture over there. So, in this perspective, Turkey, with a long-lasting country in this region, and one of the very much experienced, not only in case of the culture, social, political issues, but also all the historical bindings through those people and those countries. And plus, within this additional sense of point of view, one of the strategic allies of the Western countries for almost 60 years have something to say, had something to say. And we are in the moment that it needs to be realistically evaluated this time from those countries as well.
Berat Albayrak, thank you very much indeed for talking to TRT World.